Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we will be talking about the science fiction action film The World's End, directed by Edgar Wright and released August 23rd, 2013.
Yes, you heard that right, folks. We are finally covering the third film in Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy. It's only taken us, a few years to get through this trilogy, which I wish I had watched this movie sooner because it seems weird that I waited and I didn't watch it. Yeah. I'm not even sure why. Because I loved the first two.
Yeah. I remember this one being very special because it was the first Edgar Wright film that I went and saw in theaters.
Oh, that must have been cool.
Shaun of the Dead had already been out, and then Hot Fuzz I had seen at home, rented it or something, to really then be oh, I really like this director, to the point that then I was oh, it's a not continuation, because I know Cornetto, they're disjointed, they're not connected other than just the Cornetto rapper and the lead actors and the director, but after seeing Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, I was hooked in as a fan enough to where, which then it's crazy to think, it was released 2013. I was oh my God, it was seriously 12 years ago that I went to the theaters to go see World's End.
Now, did you see this before you saw Scott Pilgrim?
Oh yeah, Scott Pilgrim definitely was.
Okay.
Also, yeah, but I didn't see Scott Pilgrim in theaters. That was another one that I came into at home and was oh my God. So yeah, that's definitely within that realm, because it was I hadn't made those connections as a favorite director kind of thing, where it was oh, I loved these movies, and then realizing, oh, it's all the same guy. Okay.
Like when you helped me figure out that I don't like Ari Aster's directing.
Mm-hmm.
When I was blaming A24 for everything.
Yeah.
And you pointed out, no, what do these movies have in common? Oh yeah, it's the director.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it. I'm good.
Yeah. How did I forget about Scott Pilgrim? Yeah, so that was definitely because favorite movie, and then it's had seen Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz on my, at different times, to where then putting all those puzzle pieces together, being oh, I just fucking love Edgar Wright, to where then it's oh, and now he's got a new one coming out in theaters. I'll be there.
Yep. He has a cameo in Land of the Dead, which we will cover, Land of the Dead. And since we're covering movies, especially George Romero movies, out of order, that will be the next one that we do, because It's one of my favorites. So we'll do it next season, because believe it or not, the season is coming to an end soon.
Say out of order, we've only done one.
We have.
Wasn't the first one, but right. So technically, yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like doing Land of the Dead after. There's no continuation.
Yeah.
Connection other than zombie and whatever else lived in Romero's head when he made them. So, no, I think we can just do that one next.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
I like it. I know we should do Night of the Living Dead, but no. Maybe that could be the Halloween special this year.
Maybe.
Could be good. So, yeah, I have thoughts on this one. I know that's a surprise. Or how would we ever do a podcast if we didn't have thoughts, as we've talked about before?
Mm-hmm. Would be a quick and boring episode.
It would.
I guess maybe not boring. It'd be over before it got a chance to get boring.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, everybody. No comment. Bye. See you next week.
Yep. How quick that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Very little to edit, but it wouldn't be fun. No. Well, we're going to kick this off the way that we always do, with some production notes. It was filmed in Welwyn Garden City, Letchworth Garden City, and High Wycombe, England. Movie was written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, and as we mentioned, it's the final film in the Cornetto trilogy. The budget for this one was $20 million. It grossed $46.1 million. It was 109 minutes long. Pake, give us a synopsis.
Right. 5 friends who reunite in an attempt to top their epic pub crawl from 20 years earlier, give or take, unwittingly become humanity's only hope for survival.
Yes. Again, I didn't watch this until today. This was the first time I had ever seen it. And I love Edgar Wright as a director. I think he's fantastic. And one of the things that I appreciate about this movie in particular is the fact that the last 2 movies, we've kind of gotten used to Simon Pegg's character in them being the more responsible person. And Nick Frost's character being the more just fun and ignoring everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Getting into trouble. And that's kind of flipped in this one.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. I kind of liked seeing Simon Pegg and his character be a little reckless and still endearing, but very reckless and just no clue what's really going on with his friends and stuff when he brings them all back together. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. I'm glad that I finally can cross it off my list and say, yes, I've seen this one because, I mean, I should have seen it before now. I really should have. And I didn't not watch it because we were going to cover it. I just didn't watch it. And it doesn't make sense that I didn't. So I'm glad that I'm finally, caught up, I guess, on Cornetto at least.
Yeah.
One thing that I also really like in the fireworks, yes, folks, if you hear banging in the background, we're recording this on the 3rd of July, and where I live, they decided to do the fireworks on the 3rd of July. So you may get to hear some of the fireworks in the background because they're very randomly going off. It might be quiet for 25 minutes, and then there's a barrage of noise. Like right now.
I don't hear anything, but that's Zoom for you.
Zoom does tune it out. We had some fun a couple of weeks ago when we were recording a Buffalo episode and trying to make Pokemon impressions, and Zoom wouldn't pick them up.
Yeah. The sound effects are on the official episode, which I haven't listened to because I don't ever listen to myself back on podcast episodes when they're out. But so I'm sure they were fun sounds that you guys were making. I'll just assume they were.
Yeah.
Maybe I will have to listen to that one just so I can hear them for the first time as the host of the game.
Yeah. This movie, to me, had a lot of heart, and it was fun, and it had those great story elements that we've come to appreciate from Edgar Wright. And Gary was definitely not a Sean or a Nicholas Angel. It was very, very different. But I did love that Edgar Wright cast some of the familiar faces in this one because we've kind of, seen them in his other movies, like Patty Considine, Nick Frost, as I said before. Bill Nye has a voice cameo. Martin Freeman. Even Rafe Spall as a house buyer at one point.
Mm-hmm. Very short.
Very short. David Bradley. Also, very quickly, there was a point they were walking by a house. Oh, the Ding Dong Ditch thing that they did. And the guy that came out, I'm pretty sure, played their Sean's roommate in Shaun of the Dead. He looked just like him. I think it was him. I love that he does that. He brings people back so you get to see familiar faces.
Yes, it was nice to finish up the trilogy for sure. We can just talk about this one. Again, we've done this a lot, but I feel like the ensembleness of everything, it's like we could break it up into characters like we usually do, but I don't know. This is like back half of this season. I don't know if we can say as we usually do anymore.
The next movie that we're covering is going to be The Crazies, and we definitely have a lead character in that, so that's the one we're going to do. I didn't even tell you that before we didn't spin a wheel, we didn't talk about it, I just kind of decided we were going to do it, so...
All right, sure.
Hopefully that's okay.
But, so again, Gary is definitely the lead character, but it's like, if we're going to cover multiple characters. It's like, well, everybody else is also with him on all of the things he's doing. So it's like you rehash the same story 4 times if you're trying to cover 4 different characters.
Yeah,
so it's like,
it's true.
Well, we'll go with it. So again, and then it's easy for me because I finish my notes and then go, I don't have to reorder them in any way. I can just go live tweet style, chronologically through the movie. Although I did have to make a note very early on. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th note where I just said, wait a minute, no recapping, no fucking recapping. Because I was in that mode for like a second and then I had to go, stop taking notes.
Yeah, don't.
If I'm not feeling something, don't worry about it.
No, it's okay.
I don't have to be typing something down just for the sake of typing something down.
Right.
We're good.
Right. No, we're not recapping. Not in the general way of we go from place to place. I mean, yes, Gary's lead character, we're kind of going to go through it from his eyes, but because the other people are there with him, we're not going to come back and rehash it. We're just going to, let's talk about Gary. He's a character, for sure.
Yeah, he's the same old. But yeah, Gary King. And he's with his group of friends from high school. Andy, Steve, Pete, Ollie. Troublemakers in their own rights. But also Gary's by far the worst of them as far as the troublemaker thing goes.
Yeah.
But they all definitely have their own quirks and stuff. You know, Andy was just kind of like the Klingon best, not Klingon as in like Star Trek, but clinging on, like best friend who was just like ride or die, always there with him, up for whatever shenanigans and antics. Steve is the ladies' man that kind of, him and Gary had this kind of unspoken rivalry with girls, especially Ollie's sister, Sam. And then they, played music and were a band together. Pete was more of the nerd and the outcast of the group, but they kept him around because he was fun to pick on, but also they did love him. There was like a real bond there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ollie was just kind of like the I don't even know, like young businessman. Like you could tell he had like a bright future ahead of him in the business world. Like he was already very mature and adult even as a high schooler.
Yeah. We got only this little glimpse of their teenage years, but then we got to see them reconnect through this journey through the Golden Mile pub crawl that they were on. It became very clear to me that Gary did not necessarily not grow up, but he didn't move beyond his thoughts of who he was in high school.
Oh, no. I think it is safe to say he didn't grow up. Like, physically, sure. Like, he's as old as the rest of them. But mentally and everything, he's still 17 years old.
Yeah.
Like, he's the exact same person with zero responsibility, zero self-awareness, just willing to leech off of and mooch off of, and without a care in the world for other people's feelings or lives, and what's going on. The world, he's very much still that kid where his world revolves around him, and that's all that matters, is just him being able to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, and he's really resourceful with his little white lies. Like, he's a little manipulative. Like, he knows how to get people to do what he wants them to do, especially his 4 friends, by kind of preying on their conscience and their past relationships by saying that Andy's coming, even though he hadn't even talked to him yet.
Yeah, well, I like that. His method of convincing each guy to join by insinuating that all the others are already on board.
Yep.
Even if they are all shocked about Andy. But yeah, because Pete's the first guy he goes to, and he's like, yeah, me, the boys, we're all in. We're just waiting on you. It's like, you're literally the first one he's talking to. But yeah.
So Pete seems really disinterested about it. In fact, they all do. At one point, when Gary goes to see Andy doesn't even want to see him. Like, his assistant comes in and says, you have a friend that's here. No, I don't. Like, he doesn't want anything to do with him. So you know that they've had a past. I mean, there was a falling out.
Yeah.
We don't learn all of that until later. But, you know, at that point, Gary's telling him his mother died. Mm-hmm. He's like, my mom died, preying on his sense of friendship and conscience and feeling like, oh, Gary probably needs this, so I should probably go. And
oh, yeah. It's a scummy move. Very scummy.
Very scummy. You know what? Somebody did that on Survivor once. They said their grandmother died, and it got people to, like, feel bad for him. And they kept him around. And they helped him, like, when he won a challenge. Like, it helped him go further in the game. Mm-hmm. Because what he did is he made it to the visit where a friend or a family member comes to say hi and gets to hang out. He waited till the guy came, and then he created this whole situation where he finds out his grandmother died. And it just creates this whole story for him to continue in the game, and everyone's feeling bad for him. And it's not what really happened.
It's yeah. It shows you who Gary is, though. Again, like, he's just very selfish. He does not put the thoughts of other people.
No, not at all.
In his mind at all. I did want to backtrack a little bit. Yeah, it's like, as far as, this Golden Mile, because you mentioned it. The pub crawl, this Newton Haven pub crawl, which they attempted right after high school.
Well, the legal drinking age in the UK is 18.
16, right? Or 18.
I think it's 18, yeah.
18, yeah. And so, yeah, they attempted it this one time, and the first one was unsuccessful. And Edgar freaking Wright. It's so fun to watch this movie for the umpteenth time that I've seen it, because you can catch on. So I highly recommend, now that you've watched it once, watch it 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Well, because
considering the number of times I've watched Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, that will not be a difficult thing to do.
Right. Because the level of foreshadowing in this movie is insane. Because that very quick montage while he's at in group therapy at the rehab, and he's talking about the events of that first pub crawl with his friends, it spells out beat by beat everything that happens in this movie in the order that it does, which is incredible. Because their attempt, O-Man taps out early at the same bar that he was switched out in the bathroom where he was taken over. Eventually, they go to the clubhouse, they get high, and then they had to leave Pete in the park. And then they didn't finish those last 3 and stuff. But and those are just little things, but all kind of certain ways that things happened at the bars. But even the pub names themselves are a foreshadowing of the movie. So, of course, this Golden Mile, the first post, the old familiar, the famous cock, the cross hands, the good companions, the trusty servant, the 2-headed dog, the mermaid, the beehive, the king's head, the hole in the wall, and the world's end. And I could have done just a quick version of this, but I was like, no, I'm gonna have a fun one. So I pulled up an article from Screen Rant that broke this down. Yeah, so I'll go from, so this is Ben Sherlock from Screen Rant. I'm just gonna give him the credit there, but reading through his, the names of the pubs kind of go along with what's happening in the movie, which is brilliant. So what Ben here says, so the first post, meaning behind the name of first post, is pretty simple. It's the first pub on the crawl, partly because it takes, takes a couple of pubs to ease into the crawl, so not a lot happens at the first post. It's, basic. The Old Familiar. After leaving the first post, the guys go to the Old Familiar, which looks exactly the same as the first post, Oliver claiming the result of starbucking. And funny enough, it was filmed in literally the exact same building, the same room. They just redecorated it. It is the same building. And then, of course, that claim that chain pubs are removing all individuality foreshadows the revelation of the network later as well. The famous cock is the first pub that somebody recognizes Gary, only because of his reckless behavior that got him banned in the first crawl. Gary is the famous cock of this pub. And then the cross hands. The crossed hands was that is the first time that the five of them work together. They've been kind of bickering and fighting, and nobody's been on the same board. And like you can tell, like they're just dragging their feet along, like whatever. This is what Gary wants. But it's the fight in the bathroom with the teenage blanks that finally brings them, crossing arms together with a similar goal. Then the good companions is next. The guys decide that their best course of action would be to continue the pub crawl and pretend everything's normal, so they don't arouse suspicion. They pretend to be enjoying a pleasant, ordinary night out and be good companions to the rest of the town. Then they go to the trusty servant, where they bump into their own trusty servant, ex-drug dealer who sold them pot in high school, Reverend Green. Gary joins Reverend Green at the bar, figure out if his body's been snatched by the blanks. It turns out he's one of the few saved ones. It's also, spoiler alert, not really, it is the bar where Ollie goes to the bathroom and then gets taken and swapped out and becomes the trusty servant of the network. Then the two-headed dog, that's where they have the fight with the twins. So pretty, basic there. They like twins stuff. The Cornetto trilogy, it even points out the three flavors, Cornetto trilogy, blood and ice cream, whatever you want to call it. Edgar Wright loves his twins in these movies. You get the pair of zombie twins in Shaun of the Dead, and then Bill Bailey playing the twins in Hot Fuzz. So next is The Mermaid. Although Ariel in The Little Mermaid is nice to people, mermaids traditionally, think of sirens, traditionally lure sailors to their deaths. In the pub, the mermaid, Gary and the guys are seduced by siren-like robots or blanks.
Marmalade sandwich.
The marmalade sandwich, yeah. Then at the Beehive, they meet up with Mr. Shepherd, their old teacher, which they did like. He was like the one teacher that Gary really appreciated. But that's in the Beehive is where Mr. Shepherd explains that the network intends to bring humanity together with an artificial hive mind. Then at the King's Head, Gary bangs his head against the wall a bunch of times until blood comes out. But also, it is the pub where Gary's personal struggles come to light. You really get into Gary King's Head. Also, the picture of the King's Head pub is Simon Pegg, the painting.
Yeah, I noticed that.
The hole in the wall is very simple. Literally, the beast drives a hole into the wall.
Yep. Steve drives Gary's car through the pub.
Yeah.
Very simple. And what about The World's End? Is it because it's the name of the movie?
Now, the World's End, that one is very subtle, and it's a really hard one to get. It's where the world ends, as we know it, at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So it's not an REM song.
Yeah, no. But yeah, no, I love that. How all the foreshadowing, and there's so much good foreshadowing. There's one that's like way later, but I'm going to pick it out because this is from tvtropes.org, just the exact wording. But yeah, quoting again, like that first breakdown when they were still like teenagers doing the crawling. Oliver was the first one to fall on the original attempt of the Golden Mile, followed by Peter. And they're the only two replaced by blanks in the second attempt, and in the same order as well as at the same points in the story.
Edgar Wright likes to craft these stories that have these subtle hints of foreshadowing, as you mentioned already. And I feel like in this episode, he really amped it up a bit compared
even
to
all the
some
way
of
to the
others.
end, where, even though they abandon the crawl, and then Gary's sitting there on the hill looking at the orange glow over the town.
Yeah.
It's cool. So like the more you watch this movie, the more repeat watches, the more things you catch when they're foreshadowed early, and you go, yeah, okay, and here it is, and there's that, and that's what that means, and okay. It makes repeat viewings of this movie more and more fun. And
I still find things in Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Like, still I'm finding stuff. And also in some of his other movies, like Last Night in Soho, I've seen that a couple of times, and every time I find something new.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I didn't notice that before. It's really cool. I like that because it makes you pay more attention right at the start of the movie. Because you know that there's going to be little things that you need to be aware of because it's going to come back later. And then you're not even sure which ones are going to come back later. Mm-hmm. So it can kind of be a little trippy when you're watching.
Yeah. Also did notice something about the last names of everybody, Gary and his friends, because of course he's the king, and so he's got his own little, the king's court as the last names of everybody: Prince, Page, Chamberlain, and of course Knightley.
Yeah, he does. I will tell you this, and we haven't really talked about it yet, but when it came down to Sam, I knew who I wanted her to be with out of the two of them, and I'm glad that it ended up being the way I wanted it to go. I mean, she said it best. Gary is not boyfriend material, at least in his present state. And
yeah, she tells him his personality and the way he is. She's like, it's endearing, it's cute when you're 17, not when you're pushing 40.
No, it's not. And I'm not saying that everyone should be all adult-like and have no immaturity, because that would be incredibly boring. I don't know. It brings out this endearing quality, I think, in people to just not be 100% grown up, to have still that little bit of immaturity that can allow you to be spontaneous. And
I think the events of this movie do a really good job of meeting everybody in the middle. Because where we start is Gary is way too immature. And then we're seeing at least the ones that really survive till the end and still as humans. Andy and Steve are too mature. They've put all of that aside, and they're just to the point that Andy has gotten so boring that his wife is leaving him because she's just tired of him. He doesn't pay attention. He's not focused. He's not there.
Not present.
And so, and Steve is also recently divorced. So they've gone too far. So I think everything, by the end of this movie, we see Gary realizing, he's maturing a little bit, realizing there is a bigger picture than just Gary King.
Yeah.
But then we see the other two realizing, no, it's fine to fuck up. It's fine to make mistakes. It's fine to just let loose and be yourself and not be a part of some machine and some, just a cog in this network. So I think that it brings this happy medium of them together, kind of getting away from their two, poles of extreme difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that he did a great job of building the characters so that where they started and where they ended up it was a lot closer. They learned from each other, which is what you would hope. And I loved getting to see them throughout at least the first couple of pub visits. They started to loosen up a bit, and you got to see a little bit more of their personalities.
The more that they drink, the more that they go along with the idea and unwind there.
Yeah. They started to, let themselves relax a little bit, or the alcohol helped, as you said. I liked it. And then I loved when Andy just decided to do 5 shots because he was done. He just did 5 shots in a row. I'm like, yeah, see? He's caught up. He's caught up to everyone now.
He's good.
I liked that.
Nothing like violent ink-filled robots assimilating the town to knock Andy right off the wagon. 5 pints from now on. Yeah, there was a point where I was just like, do I just let Daphne actually talk about the movie and I just say, fuck it, I'm just doing quotes and quips because...
I wrote down a ton of quotes.
I just love them so much, and it's that Edgar Wright dialogue, but also Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and so much else. But man, the whole cast was great with that. But it's just the way Gary's way of speaking and manner of speaking leads to so many great jokes. So I just will throw them out. So I'm going back a little bit, when he's trying to convince Andy to join that, he's so obtuse, but it's on purpose. He takes nothing seriously. And that conversation with Andy in his office really highlights that, it's I haven't had a drink in 16 years. Well, you must be thirsty then. Yeah. See, he goes, you have a very selective memory, Gary. Thank you. You remember the Friday nights. I remember the Monday mornings. Well, that's a good thing we're going on Friday. It's pointless arguing with you. Exactly. So come.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be somewhere in between Gary and Andy because I feel like I would want to get together with people, but also there's a situation that we hadn't learned about, which is maybe part of why Andy doesn't want to go out drinking anymore.
Yeah. There's a lot more of a serious reason behind there.
And honestly, Andy wants Gary to stop drinking. Like, he wants him to stop living this lifestyle he's in because it's kind of dangerous. But Gary's not going to listen because he knows everything. And as Andy said multiple times in the movie, Gary, you're always right. Like, you're never wrong.
You can't be wrong.
Yeah, and that's a problem because you can't get through to people if they think they already know everything.
Yeah. Which, again, leads to
so many great quotes.
I love the Three Musketeers, and then Five Musketeers, and all. Just that whole. There's so many great running like gags. You know, the Three Musketeers was a fiction, Gary, written by Alexander Dumas. A lot of people are saying that about the Bible these days, that it was written by Alexander Dumas.
No.
But even scenes without Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, I just like that. You know. They're sitting at that table while Simon is inside. Went for a bathroom break, and now he's playing Need for Speed.
Yeah.
But it's like, he's taking a really long time peeing. It's like, I think he's doing something else. He's making this sign for cocaine, and Pete goes, "Oh, poo?" Like, what makes you think this means?
I didn't think that they would all show up, honestly, at first. I'm thinking somebody's not going to make it there, or none of them are going to come. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be a movie unless they show up, but I'm the whole time thinking... Yeah, I don't know who's going to show up, but they did.
Yeah.
And at one point, Oliver says to Peter and Steve, following Gary into certain oblivion, because they know what he was like as a teenager. They know he's not any
he still
different.
Is. Yeah, even to the point, like, the money thing, where it's like, he finally gave me back the 600 quid that he owed me. It's like, funny, he borrowed 200 from me. And from me, and they just look at Pete, and he's like... it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. No, I borrowed from Peter to pay you. I still owe Paul.
Oh my gosh. It's honestly, it's lunacy. Like, I love the discussion about let's boo-boo and what that means, because it's about leaving is what it is. And
yeah.
That's when you knew that Andy was really on board, because he's like, let's boo-boo.
Let's boo-boo.
Because for a while, they're just not buying into it at first. They're not... It's like they've decided to do this, but it's not necessarily what they wanted to do, so they're honestly just going to go along with it. Maybe he'll get bored, maybe it will end, whatever. But they just keep going. I mean, Gary is ding-dong dashing. Like, he's ringing doorbells and running. I mean, this is really juvenile behavior. It's not... Yeah, it's not funny to people.
Yeah, it's like they should know, like, we're going back to our hometown with him in tow. It's like, it's gonna be a flash right back to the way things were, and not in a good way, probably most of the time. They get back into town, and it's Daphne's nemesis. The roundabout. No.
Never gonna let me live that down, are you?
Never.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so underdogs in a small town where people are off in some way. What is this? A Cornetto movie?
It is. Or it's The Stepford Wives. Or it's Village of the Damned. Like, it's one of those movies. Maybe.
Yeah, do like the starbucking for the first post. And then the Edgar Wright, again, because I'm talking about, like the dialogue, the quips, stuff like that. But even just visuals. When they're trying to blend in, just like in step, and like the way they're walking to the beat of the music, and so is everybody else, and like the timing and stuff. But also the visuals, I mean, the tap pulls followed by the water button, that they do that same thing twice at the first post and the Old Familiar, where it's the same. It's like just we're on a loop for those two places. It's just like that same thing. Beer, 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 water.
Yeah. But those are
Edgar
also...
Wright makes visuals a character.
It does.
And music and all of that, and timing. And
I mean, come on. We're going to have a pint at the Winchester and wait for it all to blow over. Yeah. I mean, it's the same type of thing. It's these close-up, quick things that are effective.
Yeah. And then, keep talking about Andy's accident. That has come up a few times, and it's like, that's why he's been sober for almost 2 decades. But then we're left, like, they talk about it, but then skirt around it and don't get too into detail for a while. Oh, God. Another great one. That's where I said, fuck it, you can talk about the characters and plots. I'm just going to appreciate the jokes. Which is Steven going, you have a real selective memory, mate. And Gary goes, someone else was telling me that. To where Andy from behind him goes, me. He goes, no, I would have remembered.
No, you wouldn't have. You didn't remember that Peter was married. Vanessa.
That's
Who's
another
Vanessa?
great running joke. Is
oh my God.
Not knowing about his wife Vanessa constantly.
Over and over. Vanessa, who? My wife. Like he didn't remember ever.
Mm-hmm.
I loved, this wasn't a joke, but two quotes I really liked was when they were at the cross hands, he has this inappropriate timing where he brings the shots back to the table. Peter is like pouring his heart out kind of about this bully who had just come over and taken the stool. And Andy is really starting to realize that he's like, we're not here as your friends. We're just your fucking enablers.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been.
And the enablers.
Yes. New band.
New band name.
And Andy follows it up with, you don't need us to get fucked up. You've done a perfectly good job on your own. And it's true. It's because he hasn't. I mean, I don't know if he had stayed more in touch with them, if it might have been better or different for him, or if he was just always on this crash course to be a 17-year-old trapped in a 39-year-old's body. Like, I feel like that could be the case with him.
Yeah, Crossed Hands is definitely where a lot of big things happen. Of course, that's after, the famous cock, which he's banned from, but he still manages to cross it off the list thanks to some patio leftovers.
Like, you don't know who's been drinking out of that glass. Okay.
Yeah, but let's see. Yeah, Sam meets up with them. Then that's at the Old Familiar. So we didn't mention too much with Sam first popping in.
Yeah, Oliver's
Ollie,
sister.
don't call him Oh Man.
His sister, and this is the same sister that Gary had sex with at 17 and in the handicap toilet.
Mm-hmm. Which again, she gets up to go to the bathroom. He's like, oh, that's that same thing. And she has to talk with him. She's like, this isn't 90, Gary. I don't want a bathroom hookup. It's like, you haven't changed a single solitary bit since 90, I see, but no, that's not.
No.
However, Steven is divorced, and seeing Sam again is quite a magical experience.
It definitely is. He was totally into her at the same time that Gary was hooking up with her at 17. He's had this, like, crush or feelings, or he's been in love with her for a long time. And he looks at Gary as someone who derailed that situation by sleeping with her, I think. And Steve, I mean, he seems like a sweet guy. Like, to me, he seems like a sweet guy. And
Patty Considine.
I know. I mean, it's perfect. So I was thinking at that point, I'm like, no, you need to be with Steven. Like, you need to be with him. Do not be with Gary. Please, Edgar Wright, do not end this movie where they're together, because it just... No, Gary has a lot of personal growth he needs to undertake to get to be where he needs to be in his life. And I really am glad that it didn't go in that direction, because I think Steven had genuine feelings for her. And I love that she deflected. Like, people were, at one point, someone was saying something to her about Gary, or Gary was trying to insinuate something with her, and she just kept deflecting. So to say, no, I'm not with Gary. No. Yeah. And I liked that, because it showed that she really understood he was not the right person. Like, where he is in his life is just, he has some growing up to do.
Yeah. And you mentioned, the scene with Pete, with the bully. That's right, because that's where it really does take a turn from, like, oh, Gary is like, he's irresponsible and he's annoying and, like, he's mooching off his friends, to really realizing like the level of selfishness and how that's why nobody has talked to him in all these years. You realize that, again, he's like, you said he's pouring his heart out. I mean, like, awful things this bully put him through. And but it's like the hardest part about that, what really hit him was the fact that he didn't even seem to recognize him. It was like, what was it all worth? And then Gary does a Gary, which has been a thing, apparently, making it all about himself, caring only about not caring about other people. SHOTS. Shots.
Yeah. He's not caring about anyone else but himself.
Mm-hmm.
I related to Peter when he was telling his story because I dealt with that in school, and I never thought of it that way, of wondering if my bullies remember what they did to me. Like, that didn't cross my mind. So that was an interesting concept to me. But for Gary to just come in and slam the shots down, it was just not good. And I feel like Andy has been as patient as he could be throughout these first few pubs and is just really done. And that's when he really starts, talking back to Gary and giving him shit.
Yeah, I mean, they give him some harsh truths.
Yeah.
For sure. And then at that point, the group's ready to call it quits. Like, they feel sorry for him for being such a wastoid until, he runs off to the bathroom, and then his mom calls his phone that he left at the table. And then that's that moment you're like, God damn it, Gary, what? That's where Andy's just pissed. But before I get into that, one more fun quote, a little back and forth quips, because it killed me. It's so good. Is when they're about to just like leave, like, we're going to go back to the Airbnb, then we're going to go back to whatever. And I guess it's pre-Airbnb. It was just a B&B. But,
yeah, I mean, Gary's phone was a Nokia, not a flip phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was all 2012 era.
Yeah.
But yeah, where they're all going to like walk out on him. He's like, but it's the anniversary. This is not the anniversary, Gary. We did this in June. It's October. Yeah, but it's the anniversary of the year. Every year is the anniversary of a year. It's just like anything he can cling to. But yeah, love the good back and forths. And then Ollie's catchphrase, which again, like the foreshadowing stuff, because there's like, Ollie has so much cool like foreshadowing as far as like when you're paying attention, like you realize the exact moment that he gets swapped, that he gets replaced. Because there's so many things that are like different, because his WTF, his catchphrase. And then the next time you see him in like a weird moment, he goes, what the fuck? And you're like, okay. Like,
yeah, something's
that's
off.
not what Ollie does.
This is not okay.
But yeah, the bathroom throwdown with a group of local teens. Why not? Sounds like a fun time.
Well, he was trying to bond. Gary was trying to bond with that boy and like pointing out, here's where I punched the wall when I was 17 and trying to relate to the kid. And I'm like, Gary, this is incredibly creepy for you to be saying these things.
Don't talk to anybody, regardless of age or situation,
in the bathroom.
No. But him getting into this like little altercation with the teen that turns into a lot more once he realizes something is going on. And then that's when Andy and the rest go in to confront him about his mom, and then they just wind up bonding together a little bit, having to fight these blank teens. Andy hitting the teenage blank with a torture rack into a backbreaker, then following it up with a beautiful elbow drop. All I could say watching that was, this is awesome. This is awesome.
I wondered if you would feel the same way as I did about that.
Yeah.
The fight scenes were actually pretty cool.
Oh, there's so many great choreographed fight scenes in this movie.
It was a lot of fun. I had read somewhere that he was inspired by Jackie Chan and some of his fight scenes, and so he
using a bunch of different like objects and props and things around the room. Yeah.
And I love that. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I love directors who aren't afraid to take influence from other actors or stars or directors and run with it and not feel like everything they do has to come out of their own head. Like they can be inspired. And I think that's what makes creativity so awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Is you can be inspired by so many different things.
We'll say these guys that have been just walking around drinking all day had some fight in them. They took care of these blanks. So then, like, the aftermath of that, them trying to decide what to do, just great. The running gag with Vanessa again. But then also one of my favorite exchanges of Oliver. WTF, Gary. WTF. What the fuck does WTF mean as Pete comes out of the stall? What the fuck? Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that too. I thought that was so ridiculous. I loved too, not long after that, when they were walking to the next bar and they're playing the Alabama song by the Doors. Chris and I had a conversation about it recently because it came on in the car, and he's got a much more high-tech car than I do. Mine doesn't have the fancy screen or the backup camera. And it says Alabama song, parentheses, whiskey bar, because everyone thinks that's the name of it, is whiskey bar, but it's actually Alabama song. I loved that because they're walking in unison, and it's just, they're trying to be stealth.
Yeah.
And be like everyone else. And they've also been drinking for a while. And I just found it fun that he incorporated that song.
Yeah, because they're thinking now that, like, the jig is up, that, like, how much of the town are what they're saying robots at this time. Like, how much... Show of hands.
Who's a human? That comes to play later.
Great. So good. Yeah, so and only Gary is going to make it make sense that finishing the Golden Mile is the only way to avoid suspicion. So we have to do this, which that's where Andy, it's pointless arguing with him. Drink up, let's boo-boo.
Yep.
But
exactly. I mean, you just get beaten into submission. You just have to go along with it to get through it, because it's easier to do it and get through it than it is to fight and argue through every pub they go to.
Yeah. But I think it is a funny, like, thing that you see them trying so hard to, well, let's just blend in and be inconspicuous and just continue the pub crawl. And honestly, all it does, it fails, because clearly it only makes them stick out more, because all of the blanks are just watching them like, they're still keeping this up. They're still doing it. Like, the fact that they're not blanks, the fact that they're human isn't the problem. It's like, honestly, they're not, it's the same effect that they want, but it's not what they're intending, because they're like, we don't want them to know that we know. But they were like, honestly, we don't care if you know, just behave and be model citizens and you're fine. Like, so it's like them trying to be as inconspicuous and like normal as possible. The blanks are watching them like, yeah, that's cool. That's fine. Keep that up.
Well, I mean, the Reverend Green tells them it's not what you think. It's all for our benefit. But then we just kept hearing things like, we're not slaves and we're very, very happy. And that sounds very Stepford to me. Yeah.
Wait, so good. Things like, so wait, are they robots? They're not robots, because robot means slave, and they're definitely not slaves. They are kind of enslaving the humans. It's flipped. They're not the slaves. But then I like, just like, Steven, and then Pete, and then people keep showing up. Wait, are these guys robots?
I mean, how do you know? And then they go through this whole long thing trying to figure out what to call them. And they end up calling them blanks, I think, is what.
Because that was like the placeholder. It's like, there's a blank, he's a blank, she's a blank.
Yeah.
And they couldn't land on something better, so they eventually just stuck with it.
And it just kept going. To the point that at the end of the movie, when Gary is with his new posse and he's going into this bar, it says no blanks.
Yeah, it's stuck worldwide. Yeah, so now poor Reverend Green, aka Trevor, he didn't seem to fill his role as subservient human well enough anymore.
No.
So
he'd been summoned to the bathroom.
Yeah, he got called in. He's going to be promoted. Is that what we would have said?
I don't know. I think obliterated, repurposed. Mm-hmm. I mean, we find out later that what they do with the blanks, they're or the empties, they're recycled and mulched.
Yeah, which makes the next line in my notes, which was not intended for this joke, make even better. Gives it a double entendre that was not meant. Because my next line is, and Ollie seems unordinarily chipper coming out of the bathroom.
Yeah. I noticed something was off with him. I wasn't quite sure that he'd been taken over, but I noticed something was definitely off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's that moment where, I mean, especially on like multiple watches, rewatch, you're like, yeah, that's when he went into the bathroom, that's when it happened. And then you see him just like, yeah, let's go. Like, he's way happier than he's been, and there's a lot of those like little hints. Like, he's very agreeable constantly now. He's like, just like, now he's on Gary's side instead of pushing back like he has been. And yeah, to the next place. Let's keep drinking. Let's have fun. Da 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 da. Because that's what the mermaid is them finally being able to lure them in and get their DNA through, kissing or sharing drinks and all these stuff. So he's like, the more that they're drunk, the more susceptible they are. So let's just keep the party going. But then you also see other little things with him, like when they keep saying the word robot, and you see Ollie be like, let's stop saying robot. Let's find it. He's the one pushing to find a different term. He doesn't like robot. But other things, like they go out into the back in the two-headed dog. And Andy says something like, oh, he's probably going to go fuck Ollie's sister. And you've seen how that affects Ollie. And instead he just goes, aha, Andy. Like, he just laughs it off. And you're like, okay, something's...
No, Ollie's not down for that.
And then people keep calling him O-Man, and he has zero reaction to it.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, something's up.
It's not Oliver. It's not the Ollie that we knew. And then, Gary likes the new Oliver. Andy does not. And he takes about all he can before he decides it's not Oliver anymore, and he breaks a chair over him.
Yeah. Well, what makes him notice that, of course, is while he's talking to them, and he's, because I have to jump. Yeah, I was like, you keep jumping way far down in my notes, and then I have to reel it back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You just cut around those kind of things. But then I'm like, well, I have a note, but I have to, like, find it. And then I'll try to find a way to somewhat naturally reverse it back to where I was at. So I can get through my notes. Where was it? Let's see. Yeah, so that's where they meet with Mr. Shepherd. They're in the beehive. That moment where Andy just like... We had Timothy Dalton before in Hot Fuzz, so we get another James Bond here in the form of Pierce Brosnan. And yeah, Shepard's sitting there waiting at the beehive with drinks already ready to go, and giving this wonderful speech about how, these, they're not robots, but it's really the network, and what controls all of this is we just want to make humanity part of our perfectly happy utopian society of multiple worlds. How nice. O-Man seems very on board. O-Man, the guy with the birthmark on his forehead. It looks like a 6. That's why they named him that. The one that he had laser removed. Wait a minute.
Yes. Yes. Had to happen. Andy went kind of bananas in this moment with the chair over Ollie's head, and he's punching Shepard through the face, basically, and I started to wonder at this point how much of this is actually happening and how much of it is because they're drunk.
Yeah.
So I started to question. Yeah. And then by the end of the movie, it's like, okay, yeah, it all really happened. But man, for a while I was questioning it because it seemed like they were like doing more and more ridiculous things as they went along.
Just those fight scenes. But you got to have the really goofy, fun fight
you
stuff.
Do.
I mean,
you have
back
to.
with the two-headed dog where, Sam shows up. She's with her old friends, the twins, which they're noticeably even more creepy than usual. She didn't notice until a little too late, but Gary's on it. He realizes what's going on and tackles them and starts the fight.
Gary got really good at ripping limbs off. Especially arms, and he would use the arms to smack them with it, and I just found that hilarious. And that resulted in one of the twins ended up having 2 legs to walk on and 2 legs on her arms.
Attach the other one's legs to the legs for arms. It was quite a visual. And then fun. I love Steven yelling, "Get your feet off her!" So good.
Steven was always going to come and protect Sam as much as he could.
Yeah, because that's right after he's like professing his love to her, and then the blank comes back in, leg arms. Oh, leg arms comes in to interrupt. You hate when that happens.
Yeah. Also, Crowning Glory, the beer just kept coming up a couple of times, and I thought that might lead somewhere. It didn't.
Not really.
No. It was just kind of a thing. I'm like, is that how they're
The
making
ale
them
of choice.
Yeah.
By the network.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because we skipped over Mermaid before we met up with Shepard as well. Where the mermaid was where the marmalade sandwich was at.
Yes. And they're much younger because they'd made a pact with the network. Mm-hmm. And they sucked. They sucked Andy and Gary and Peter into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably would have gotten Steven too, except he got yoinked by Basil.
Yes. To learn what's really going on.
Which again, those like the cuts, it was like, how do they get the DNA? And it's like, oh, through like saliva or through like this, that. And as he's telling them, it's just showing what they're doing to Andy.
Yeah.
And Gary, you're like, oh, so the things that are happening right now. But yeah, then Basil gives Steven the exposition dump that we need. He was always the crazy conspiracy theory guy anyway. So now he's one of the few humans left. 3, in fact, that we know of. Old Nutball and the Shifty Twins.
Yep. They try to get Sam at this point, too, by bringing back, I think, is it Adrienne Keene?
Yeah.
Her school love or school crush
high school
that she
crush.
had. Yeah.
When he shows up, the guy that died 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So again, there's a couple missteps with the network's situation with how they work.
They don't know everything. They don't know all of the ins and outs of everything people have been through. So
yeah,
it does lead to some hiccups, like bringing back someone who died.
Yeah. Little thing, because Basil, when he's talking to Steven, mentions that there was a shooting star.
Yes.
That fell about the time that they had finished that last crawl and then left. And we see that again in that flash when he at the beginning of the movie when he's telling that story when he's sitting there watching the sun rise at the end of the night over and you see the shooting star. It's like that comes back later for sure.
Yep, it does.
Gary, the band names again. One way that me and Gary are very much alike is looking for great band names. So there's 3 great ones in this movie. There's 3 moments where the first 2, Gary says to Steven, oh, write that down. We got to make that a band name. And then at the end, that final conversation with the network is where it turns and Steven goes, ooh, write that one down as a band name. But yeah, Gary King and the Enablers, Bermuda Rhombus and the Aqua Nazis, and then Old Nutball and the Shifty Twins.
And did you add those to your list of band names that you have going? Because
that's for Gary and Steven.
Okay.
I can't steal those.
No, you can't.
They're on their list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So yeah, then the fight in the beehive, Andy goes ham. Because that's at that point, like after he smashes not Ollie's head, that's where Mr. Shepard and the rest of like the blanks and stuff there are like, okay, we've decided it's not worth trying to convince you anymore. So yeah, we gave you your chances. Now we're just gonna have to, replace you, and we'll do it that way.
Reminds me an awful lot of some numbered people that were in another activity I have that wanted to replace people if they didn't get what they wanted. And those of you that play that game with us know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah, all 5 of you. I do love that fight, though, is watching Gary making sure to still get his pint in during the fight.
Yes!
Despite all of the obstacles and challenges.
Yes.
Because so far, he's stuck to it.
He has.
He's managed to get his drink at every one. Which then cut to the end. I do think it is kind of interesting and fitting that we end this movie. He still did not finish.
No.
As much as he wanted to try, because the world's end didn't happen. It was there, sitting there for him, and Andy knocked it out of his hand, and they were fighting, and he never got a refill. So the movie ends with him still being 1 short.
I know. When Andy had to do it, though, I feel like he was trying to knock some sense into Gary. He's kind of had enough, and he wants Gary to understand that drinking all the time and being the way that he is, he's missing out on some great things he could have in his life. And I get where he's coming from when he's trying to get him to listen. And After Ollie gets his head knocked off, they end up in this place. It's like, is it a house?
It's like a clubhouse, like kind of like a it was like at like a golf resort kind of like a country club kind of clubhouse. Yeah. Which again, them all kind of having to spread out to get there. As always with the Cornetto trilogy, you got to have Simon Pegg versus Tall Wooden Fence.
Yep.
And it's going to go one way or the other. So this one, not as pretty as maybe Hot Fuzz was, but
no. They have this whole scar sharing experience because they figure out, well, this is how we can prove that we're who we are, is by showing all of these scars and things that they have.
Yeah, it turns fully into the Thing for a moment, though, where they're not trusting each other. How do you know that you are you? But yeah, they have that conversation. Yeah, the blanks are copies of DNA, so any changes to the body after birth, like removing a birthmark, wouldn't exist.
Right.
Childhood scars will suffice. Also, I guess
tattoos.
Gary. Well, they were like, well, you could have drawn the tattoo on, which was kind of funny. But then he's like, okay, then I'll just bash my head against this post, and it's not blue. So is that good for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's while they're there is where Andy reveals exactly what this accident they keep talking about and what happened between him and Gary. As we learn that Gary overdosed, leaving the only situation to be Andy, who was drunk at the time, to try to get him to the hospital, which resulted in him flipping his car and almost dying, having to go through like a 12-hour surgery and all this. And Gary ended up walking away pretty much fine from that situation, survived the OD, survived the crash, and then just abandoned Andy to be arrested and on his own. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that explains a lot.
Mm-hmm. I'd be pretty pissed too. I get it. I would not be wanting to talk to Gary at all after that.
Yep, and then from there, they move on, cut back through. And again, like that opening thing, they stopped at the clubhouse, that same building, after they got some medicine from Green.
Yes.
And then they got too high, so they couldn't continue on. And then Pete was so stoned that they just left him in the park. And so that's what he gets. They leave the clubhouse. They're not stoned, but Pete still gets left behind in the park. So at least he got to get some pent-up frustration out on that childhood bully. That was nice. Kind of hilarious, the big friggin' branch.
I loved what they said to him. They're like, it's not worth it. Yes, it fucking is. And I'm like, yes, it is. He needs to take out that aggression.
Just let him have it. Of course, then that unfortunately gave the blanks enough time to surround him, and there's nothing they could do.
Yeah. You could see Andy's face, too. Like, he was really upset about it. Gary, I don't even know. I feel like he was not even present. It's funny that Andy's wife talks about him not being present, because I feel like he was present in all of this interaction and everything that went on when they got together. I feel like he's been incredibly present during his reconnection with his group of friends. So I'm glad that we find out at the end that he and his wife got back together and are working, had worked through their issues.
Yeah, so then Pete's guy was like, well, what happens to people when the blanks get them? Well, they become empties. Well, what does that mean? Well, Basil said not to ask, so...
Yeah, they're mulched. They're recycled and mulched. It's like Soylent Green is people, in some way, yeah.
Yeah, and so then, they continue on trying to escape. Gary still wants to finish the crawl, and Andy knocks him out to just make it easier. Like, no, we're leaving. We're going to the Beast. We're getting to the car. We're getting the fuck out of here. But they're being hunted down. Townspeople, the teenagers that keep popping up, the giant art piece. Oh,
yeah. Modern art comes after them is what I wrote down.
Yeah. I noticed the big building that's in the background in that parking lot that they were in. Has these 3 big banners hanging from it that just say, we build, we improve, we perfect.
That sounds perfect for what these folks are doing.
Mm-hmm. So we can't let Gary finish the crawl. We need to get to the Beast. And to get there, we need to cut through Pub number 10, the King's Head.
Yep.
Great.
And Gary gives a toast to Oliver and to Peter, and we learn Andy is not going to leave Gary behind. Like, he's going to stick it out with him.
Tangent time. I did find a couple articles that, at this point, I got curious, so I went online and was looking. And there's a couple articles online that mapped out the real locations and best alternatives for ones that aren't possible to make for the most accurate recreation of your own Golden Mile pub crawl.
Really?
It'd be a little trickier than this one, but it is doable. And I saved those. I don't know when I'm, if ever I plan on being in Letchworth Garden City, England, but maybe. But like all of them are there except for one that's in London. So you have to, and if you want to do them in the right order, that's like smack dab in the middle. So you have to like take a train to London, hit that one, and then go back to Letchworth to do the others. But it is doable. Some of them were just sets, and then so it gives you like the nearest pub or place that sells alcohol near that place. So it's like the best representation you can get. But I did find a couple of articles, and so who knows? Maybe a Golden Mile, although if you have to go back and forth to London, it's a little bit more than a mile, but it's doable.
I think that would be fun.
You do 12 pints in a day?
I can't drink 1 pint in a day, but I would be moral support for those who want to. And there's so many places between, like, in London and around London that I would love to go to, because I've always wanted to go, and I've never been to the UK, but I've always wanted to go. I would love to go and see some of these sets, or not sets, but these locations.
Locations, yeah.
Yeah, I really would love
Pubs
to do that.
That they used.
Yeah, I think it would be fun. Why not?
But yeah, so yeah, Gary wakes up and manages to get a drink here. So now with a pint pulled and downed at the King's Head, Gary is officially down. He's done one more than they accomplished last time. And that crawls into his head. He's so close. Only 2 more. He can't quit now.
No, he's too close to the end.
Yeah, like you said, Andy's not going to let him go off on his own. So they take off and they run. They get to the hole in the wall and another pint pulled and chugged. It's 11. So we're almost there. They almost did it. Steven shows up at the hole in the wall, through a hole in the wall.
Yeah, he bursts in. I was worried about him when Andy and Gary kept going and he was backing the car out. I was afraid that he was going to get taken away, and I didn't want him to, because I don't ship people, but I wanted him and Sam together.
Yeah.
I did not want her to be with Gary, so I didn't want anything to happen to him.
Yeah, and they leave you with that uncertainty for a little bit. With Steven doesn't escape from the hole in the wall, and it's just Gary and Andy that make it to the world's end, and then they have that fight with each other. Gary's fighting Andy because he just has to have this one thing that matters to him, to feel like he's accomplished something, done anything with his life, even if it's a stupid fucking pub crawl, just to have done something of some meaning to him.
The Golden Mile is all he has. That's what Gary has. And he wasn't even thinking about it. At least I don't think he was, until he was in that support group meeting at the beginning that we saw. And someone mentioned it, and he talked about it, and someone mentioned him, do you ever regret not finishing it? And you could see his wheels start turning from there. Yeah.
And it's not just like a support group, as that's where we get that, while they're fighting, that's where we get that revelation. Because again, with this talking about the scars, and Andy wants him to show this scar on his elbow that would prove, and he doesn't want to take his jacket off and show his arms. And we see, like, his arms are covered in bandages and stuff. We see he's, like, self-harmed and maybe tried to take his life.
He did,
multiple times. And he's got, the hospital bracelet and stuff on in the support group. It seems like he's not really there on his own volition. It is a, like, forced rehab center that he escaped from to do this.
Yeah. He's not supposed to be out and about. He's supposed to be in the hospital. And somehow he got out and is running amok. Decided he wanted to get his friends all together. I wondered at first if he was sick and maybe dying or something, and that's why he wanted to do this. But then the bandages and everything.
Yeah. And it's as goofy as the Cornetto characters are. But you said, I mean, between like Sean or Nick Angel, like, he usually plays like these kind of down on their luck, but, you know, good-hearted characters in these movies. And in this one, it's very different because, like, you just see, like, it's a tragic character. Like,
Incredibly tragic. It is not what we've seen before from him. And it was flipped. Like, to see Nick Frost as, like, the more constant, put-together person versus the, you know, sidekick or best friend, it was a little bit different to see him in that role versus what he usually plays.
Yeah. For him just to be like an unlikable character for some of the movie, and then when you realize why he is the way he is, and it's just this trauma and self-hatred and spiraling, and it's like, man, you just feel sad about this character.
You do. And you don't... It's kind of like they want you, or Edgar Wright paints this picture of him being put together, smart, in control of everything. He's got this weird relationship with Gary, and you feel for Gary at first because that's kind of the perspective that we get at the beginning. Mm-hmm. But then, like you said, as time goes on and Andy starts to, like, let the walls down and we start to see more of who he is and why he does things, you definitely sympathize with him and what he's gone through and realize, honestly, Gary's been on a crash course with death for a long time, and Andy's really at near the end of the movie trying to get him to wake up and see and understand how this continues to affect him. Not Andy, but Gary himself. Like, this is it's a dangerous course that he's on. And even though Andy's still pissed about what happened, you can tell he still cares about him and he wants him to straighten out. He wants him to recover and be okay.
Yeah. And that's when he's still trying through this kind of like argument to like just pull that one last pint, just accomplish this, finish it. And then the one tap handle that he pulls, instead, it's the right specific one to take them down into the network's layer to have a conversation with a disembodied voice of Bill Nye.
So perfect for this. So perfect. So commanding. But then gets to the point where it's like they've beaten the network into submission. That
just being Gary.
Yep. Like, I'm never going to change your mind. This is no. We're done. Like,
I like that Steven does show back up. Well, yay, the Three Musketeers. Which, you know, what did Gary say earlier? Is it should be 5 Musketeers because 2 can die and we'll still be 3.
Yep.
Again, foreshadowing, right?
Yep. Again, you never know what's going to be said and how it's going to impact something else.
Yep.
You don't.
Meet the network. That they just want, you know, to bring people together through peaceful indoctrination. That's what they says. Furthering technology and unity among worlds. However, you know, just a tiny little caveat. If you aren't fully on board and subservient, you can be replaced. And Gary's not impressed with this. Oh, fuck off, you big lamp.
Gary has 0 fucks to give.
Yep.
0. He just wants a pint from the world's end.
But Gary and Andy even and Steven with them like make this argument that being perfect in every way defeats the purpose of life and being human, being anything, you know. And I love Andy just calling us, if you're not here to conquer, then how come this plan only works if you replace basically everyone?
Yeah.
You haven't taught humans anything. You're just killing all the humans and saying, oh, look what we're doing for you. For who? There's nobody left. It's just you coming in and taking over.
Yeah.
To err is human. So, well said, Gary. Well said.
Yes. Use your words, Gary. Use your words.
But then Andy does have and this isn't the exact quote, I don't think, but along the lines of, we are more belligerent, stubborn, and idiotic than you could imagine.
Well, I think the network got to see that, and that's why they were done. Yeah.
So it's like, in the end, it's simple, but I like that it's just like kind of undercuts, like, you think it's going to be this real big, like, this final fight with this big boss, and it's like, no, funny enough, it's just Gary King being Gary King is what saves the planet. Bill Nighy's voice is this overbearing, digital overlord, just being like, there's no point in arguing with you.
No.
Fuck it.
I love that. I love it. I love when Gary's saying to him, face it, we are the human race and we don't like being told what to do. And I'm like, yes, universe. Yes, that's how it is. I feel that way.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. The problem with the network then giving up and leaving is then the whole thing just kind of goes boom. Which leads to some high quality action movie driving from Sam. Give her credit for that. That's great. Right over the roundabout.
Yes. She comes in.
People, listeners who are like, why does he keep saying it that way? It's roundabout. I know. It's an inside joke just for like me and Daphne and two other people that might listen to this.
You know who you are. We like inside jokes, and sometimes we'll tell you, and a lot of times we'll tell you what it's about, but this one I think is just best kept where it is.
That's just for our little family unit.
Yes. Yeah. I'm still amazed at how that could have happened, how that family unit could even exist.
Who knows? But yeah, again, at the end of the crawl, Gary can sit on the hillside and watch the orange glow over the town. It's a little different this time, but
Yes. Yes. I did like at the end that we get Andy kind of telling the story of what happened after.
Mm-hmm.
And one of his quotes that I really loved, this won't be a surprise to you when I say it. Real happiness, real friends, those are things worth living for, worth fighting for. And so I loved that quote. Yeah. Because I feel like especially right now things are a little prickly in the world, and friends are something that bring me a lot of joy. And so hearing that really, it sat with me for a bit because it's kind of how I feel. Yeah.
It's interesting to see, Andy the storyteller with the kids around him out in the desert as he's telling the story of everything that happened. And the network went down, all technology on Earth went with it. We're thrown into new dark ages. The fact that he throws, all these people died. He's like, this person, they're like a coworker, my cousin, Gary's mom, which just heard that is a throwaway line, darkly funny.
I mean, because it's a lie that kind of started things in a way.
And then he gets it back together with his wife. And I was like, and then as we were seeing like that kind of scene where they're out there like gardening or whatever, it's like, oh, there's the cornetto. Wondering where that's going to come in, right? The rapper, there it is.
Yeah, I had been watching for that because we hadn't seen it yet. So I'm like, oh, there it is. Blink if you miss it.
Yeah. And we get, the blanks all wake up, now completely on their own. They're at the whims of the remaining humanity that they were replacing. At least Ollie and Peter's blank seem to be doing pretty all right.
Well, I mean, Peter is bonding with his kids over the fact that he can remove his hand and have it crawl up on his head, and his kids seem interested in it, even if his wife isn't.
Who?
Vanessa.
Who's that?
His wife. Peter's wife.
Okay.
Vanessa.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Ollie has some sort of weird thing on his head where his head should be. Like his
Looks
bottom.
like it's like a half of a volleyball.
Yeah.
With some eyes drawn on it, I think is what that was.
Yeah, I'm
or
like,
a soccer ball.
I don't know. Because they can't, like, repair themselves like they had been able to before. Because, like, all those kids that were fighting them in the bathroom were all on a bench later, like, mysteriously healed. It's like, okay, interesting how that works.
Yeah, can't do that anymore.
Nope.
So yeah, Steven and Sam together, which is good. And then he's like, I haven't seen Gary since that time. It's like, who knows what he's up to. But Gary, it's an interesting end for him because it's like, it's not the full 180 that like you would hope for, but like, I guess in an apocalyptic situation, it's like, it works out for Gary King. He gets to finally do whatever he wants. He gets to walk the wasteland with his new pack of musketeers at his side, being free. These blanks that are with him, did you realize who those were? Who his blank companions were?
Aren't they the kids that were fighting them in the... No, who is it?
It's the blank versions, the young versions of his friends.
Oh my gosh.
When the network shows him, like, you guys could go into younger bodies, and he ends up ripping the head off of the younger version of himself. But there were also then the other four were the young versions of Pete, Ollie, Steve, and Andy. And so that's his musketeers he's walking around in the wasteland was the young Andy, Ollie, Pete, and Steve. So he still has his little friend group with him it's him with his high school friends.
And I guess because it's an apocalypse, people are way past worrying about how weird it looks that he's there with those kids. I mean, because it's a cowboy. I mean, he's kind of like this Wild West cowboy guy, I think. It seems like he goes in and tells them what he wants. I feel like he just wanted to fight with people anyway. Like, that's what he wants. He doesn't care.
Ordering 5 waters.
We'll give you some water, but we're not feeding those scum, and he is not accepting it.
Which, I mean, it shows that kind of, like, maturity a little bit that he did go in a bad way. It reminds me of that conversation he has with Andy early on about Andy not drinking. And he's like, you're going to walk into this pub and order a water? And he was like, you wait, it's like, go into a pub full of people drinking beers after a football game and be the one guy that walks up to the bar and confidently orders a water. Takes a lot more bravery than you think kind of thing. And it's like, so now we're seeing that ultimate badass brave version of Gary walking up to this, real dingy, scary bar with these people with all kinds of tattoos and Mad Max fucking bullshit all over them. I know,
it's crazy.
And he's going to walk up there, confidently order him and his blank companions some water.
Yep. And then the last thing we see from this is basically shit got real. And we're having a little fight.
Yep.
And that's it.
The end of a trilogy that's in no way actually connected at all, but beautiful anyway.
Only in ice cream.
Blood and ice cream.
Blood and ice cream. Do you have more notes?
Nope, that's it.
I'm looking quickly to see if I have anything, but I think we've covered everything that I had. You know what I did like? Peter tries to give him the map of like where all these pubs are. And he's got his old map from the old days. Like that's what he has. Yeah. So he doesn't need the new map.
Oh, he's set.
But I'm thinking to myself, how do you even know if all those pubs are even still there?
Right.
It's been, 30 years? Come on. You should know. You're not going to know that they're there unless you have an updated map. Otherwise, you could be going to a place that's boarded up. Somehow, I think he'd still go in and try to make one of the faucets work so that he could get a pint.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah. So we did it. Oh, and there goes the feedback phone. So, I don't know. We'll see we got some thoughts on this one. All right, we do have a little bit of feedback this week for The World's End, so I'll go ahead and get into this. It's a feedback for this with sort of a follow-up of last week, which I love, so I'll start with that one from Catherine, of course, coming through. Says, I watched the middle of Doghouse, and it was just as good as the end. And I immediately followed it up with The World's End, and they work very well together. It'd be fun to see the group switched and who had survived a different threat.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting that ending, but I loved it, and I think it made the whole movie better overall.
Yes. It was fun. Derek. Hi, Derek. Yes, Derek.
Yay.
I haven't forgotten. We need to get you back on this podcast. I know the movie we're going to cover.
For sure. It's only been planned since season 1.
We're going to make it happen. I know. We're doing it. Anyway, Derek says, I am absolutely the target demographic for this one. The more I watch it, the more I realize why this is the perfect end to their trilogy of movies. After a horror about growing up, followed by a buddy cop drama about work-life balance, this is a brilliantly paced sci-fi movie to tackle the most difficult of subjects. Every single one of us gets old. Maybe they'll do an excellent musical about retiring someday. Oh, Edgar Wright.
I love it.
Yes. Probably like 15 years in the future. Please come back and do this.
Yeah. No, I love that feedback, Derek, because it's a really good point that, like, yeah, the Cornetto trilogy, although they are completely unrelated aside from lead actors and an ice cream wrapper, at some point, yeah, they really are. They do work well in that way of they're definitely, you see the characters in different stages of life growing up as the actors do. I think that is really cool.
Yeah. It is cool. I didn't think about it either. And so, yeah, it's kind of cool to look at it that way. And again, I didn't see The World's End until we covered it on this podcast. And you do see a difference between the two. And it really wasn't like years and years and years in between. So,
yeah. It's fantastic. Yes. Thanks, Derek. And then lastly, our good friend Ben, who is another huge Edgar Wright nut like me. So he wrote in with, my biggest question, why wasn't I invited on for this one? And then LOL JK, looking forward to hearing this one. Yeah, thanks, Ben. We will definitely have to have you come back. It's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit?
It's been a little bit. We need to beckon him to return to the podcast.
Yes. You know what? I told Ben that we have at least 2 movies that he's listed to come on for that we plan to do this upcoming season. So he'll be back with us.
Yes, he'll be back.
To submit your feedback, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast, or you can email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. You can always go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links you'll ever need. If you're enjoying the show, please tell your friends. We are available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and at least a dozen more. If you feel so inclined, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that is the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do. And of course, speaking of sharing the love, got to give those some shout outs to the things going on in the Podcastica universe around us and beyond. A lot of great stuff to check out. Of course, the cast of us right now between Last of Us seasons, Jason and Lucy, are back into the Walking Dead rewatch over there. And big one this week, season 4, episode 14. For those of you who know Walking Dead, The Grove.
Yes.
Very, very important, very major Walking Dead episode. So definitely one to check out their rewatch of. So you can give that a listen.
You know what? We have a big Walking Dead news this week. Rick, Michonne, and Daryl are all joining the world of Dead by Daylight, the game I play.
Yeah.
I think it's Monday or Tuesday, so that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so if you play that, jump on there and do that, and then the whole next week, there's a good chance you might wind up in a lobby with Daphne. That's where she'll be. Yeah, and then over on the Yellow Jackets WTF podcast, Yellow Jackets has been off for a little bit, but a movie that's very much in the same vein. It seems a little familiar to me, almost like, I don't know, it might be one we would cover, or wait.
We did.
We have. Yeah, and Daphne is over on Yellow Jackets WTF with Jason, Cassie, and Maria discussing, the 2023 film Society of the Snow. She didn't get enough talking about it over here on Run for Your Lives, so she had to jump over there and go talk about it more.
Yeah, I think Maria and Cassie definitely were even more knowledgeable about the story than I was. So it was fun to get to break it down with them. And Jason, I think, probably learned a lot from our conversation over there. So, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, a little teaser for that, because Maria was on there with you just in the past year, recently actually met one of the remaining survivors of that. And so I'm sure she had a lot of great stories and insight to share on that.
Yeah, she did. We pointed out, yeah, she met Eduardo. So it was cool to get to talk to her about how she got interested in the story and the different things she knows, because she speaks Spanish. She's fluent in Spanish, so she could watch the movie without subtitles.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to get her perspective.
Yeah. Also going on, Squid Game cast, Veronica and Jason, continuing on with Squid Game coverage. They're nearing the finale.
They are.
But they've got episodes 4 and 5 out now, and then you can go check that out, and I know they've watched the finale at this point, so stay tuned. They'll probably be up next week or so, in the next week. Very interested to hear their thoughts on the wrapping of Squid Game.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely go check out the Squid Game cast for that. Also, Let It Rip, the Bear cast with Peter and Lucy. Got to give them some love. They're just doing 2 episodes for The Bear season 4. The first 5 episodes are up. You can go check that out. And then I think episodes 6 through 10 will be up, hopefully in the next week. They'll cover the back half of the season, and then they'll have like an extended cooking segment as well. So that should be a lot of fun. Definitely check that out. Some stuff from the show. I guess it's not like spoilery stuff. I think they're looking into ingredients that aren't in the UK, but I think they're going to try to make Sydney's hamburger helper zhuzhed up a little bit. So could be interesting.
I really need to get on that show, because I know that it's not a long episode. They're like 30 minutes, so I feel like I could consume it. Maybe when I finish one of the other million things I'm doing.
Right. So yeah, so definitely be on the lookout for their coverage of the back half of season 4 of The Bear over on Let It Rip, the Bearcast. And then, of course, as I say, beyond, outside of Podcastica, we give some love to our friends on other networks. Of course, the Pirate Core Entertainment Network has some great shows over there. First, What's On Tonight? Becky, Mark, and Kelsey are covering Dexter Resurrection over there. So you can go give that a check. Listen to that. Also on the Dinner for Her podcast, Mandy is honoring the remarkable life of Dr. Maria Montessori. So you can go check out that. Again, it's just a podcast talking about, like, great women in history. And so, yeah, go check out that deep dive over there on Dinner for Her. So you can go check out those, plus other podcasts and stuff they've done over at piratecoreentertainment.com. Of course, that is pirate, CORPS, coreentertainment.com. So go check that out. And then lastly, our friends over at TV Podcast Industries, including Derek, who we heard from earlier. They've been covering The Sandman Season 2 on Netflix. So you can check out their coverage over there at TV Podcast Industries. And yeah, you can also check out me and Daphne over on our other podcast, Buffalo with Jeff and Jerry. Just having fun, playing games, making each other laugh. We've been having a blast with that so far. Like right now, lately, it's just been quite the fun group.
It has.
It's awesome.
I feel like every episode I'm like, we've hit this stride of like guaranteed laughter and ridiculousness. Like we already had that, but it's like amplified now, and it's amazing. I love spending Tuesday nights with you guys. It's just, it's fun. Blast.
So yeah, go check that out again, buffalopodcast.com. Yeah. And then other than that, we're nearing the end of the season. We have one movie left before we get to our Riffle Awards season ender. So what's going to come in right here at the end? Is it going to mix up and jumble up everything that we thought we knew about what we liked this season? I don't know. You'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so Daphne, what are we doing next week in our final movie of the season?
Well, a small town descends into chaos when a mysterious toxin turns residents into violent, mindless killers, forcing a sheriff and a few survivors to fight their way out. In our final movie episode of Season 9, we are discussing Breck Eisner's 2010 film, The Crazies.
Crazies?
Yes. crazies.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely check that out. If you haven't watched it, watch it. If you have, maybe rewatch it. Whatever, give us your thoughts, and we will definitely, read your feedback and stuff. We always enjoy hearing from you.
Yes, we do. And with that, we have reached the end of another fun episode. Not quite as scary as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, which Pake literally does,
yeah,
you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.